Some of your critics have said that the Countryside Alliance purely exists to support fox hunting and to try and repeal the ban.
There's no doubt that the Countryside Alliance does represent the interests of rural sports, of country sports, and in that, yeah, hunting, shooting, fishing, all come under the same umbrella. We're not a single issue pressure group. We've touched on the other issues that we cover, but yeah, there's no denying it. We look after a whole range of rural issues, and hunting, shooting, fishing, country sports comes under that umbrella as well.
Okay, and how do you feel fox hunting enriches the countryside?
I think in a number of ways, really. If you talk about pre-ban, it's part of our heritage, it's part of our tradition, and I think everything from beer pumps to postcards to the Boxing Day meet is integral to rural society and many people from the towns who come out to the countryside to watch. I also think it's integral for the best, again, for animal welfare and conservation. I think it's a key part of local communities. It is often the heart of a local community, and especially those communities that are very remote. And not to mention it is there to provide a service, or was there to provide a service for farmers and gamekeepers in methods of fox control. It is integral, or was integral, to the countryside, and I have to say we look forward to repeal.
What I'm failing to understand, though, is the majority of hunts, in fact all hunts, are still continuing as they were before, just without the actual dogs killing the fox at the end, is what I understand to be the case.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah.
So in that case, if these hunts are still going, the tradition is still continuing, how has the countryside been de-riched, less enriched?
I think a fundamental result of the ban, one of the fundamental things about the ban, was it was never about animal welfare. It was always about, and to quote Alan Michael's PPS, Alan Michael was the minister responsible for the ban, after the ban said it was nothing to do with animal welfare, it was all to do with class warfare. Okay. And I think the countryside, as a result of the ban, whether you were pro-hunting or indifferent, whether you participated or you didn't, I think the countryside, and I think society as a whole, took affront to the way this government was so intolerant to a minority within its ranks that they used the Parliament Act to ram it through the House of Lords, to use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And they admitted afterwards it was nothing to do with animal welfare. And I think really the countryside didn't necessarily see it as a fox hunting issue and didn't really want to go down the rights and wrongs of fox hunting. It was an issue about trust in the government, trust in politicians, trust in the political process, and this government, in pushing through that ban, ruined that trust. They shattered it. And I think that the countryside, and I think a lot of town folk would recognise that the repeal is not necessarily about the animal welfare issues of the rights and wrongs of fox hunting. It's about bad law. It's about getting rid of bad law. It's about getting rid of intolerance. It's about having understanding and tolerance for people across society. And the rural community are part of that. And I think the rural community deserves that tolerance and deserve that understanding from the majority, like we give it to other groups. So I think in banning fox hunting, it was nothing to do at all with animal welfare. It was all to do with probably revenge for what the Tories did for the miners, and that's come from the Labour ranks themselves. It's not from my mouth. So I think that's why the ban was so de-riched, if you like, to use your phrase, the countryside. They felt disenfranchised, they felt let down, they felt battered by an urban majority, which can't be right in a civilised society.